Welcome to the Candidate Forum. This will be live on the Big 900 KFAL, and this forum is also sponsored by the Callaway Community Hospital. The format will be as follows, and we want first to thank all the candidates that attended and took the time to come and share their views with us all tonight. The candidates will each get 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then we will go to the questions. Each candidate will get 2 minutes to answer the question, and then there will be a 1-minute opportunity for rebuttal if that is warranted. The rebuttal will only address statements made in response to what another candidate said. We will go in order for each race. We will start off with the U.S. House District 3 race with Representative Blaine Luetkemeyer in attendance. Following that, we will go to the Callaway County Presiding Commission race, House District 43 State Representative, and House District 49 State Representative, and we will conclude with statements and questions for the Missouri State Senate District 10. And first, tonight is U.S. House District 3 Representative Blaine Luetkemeyer. Courtney Denton confirmed she will not attend. So for this, Representative Luetkemeyer will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then we'll answer 3 questions as time permits. Representative Luetkemeyer.
Thank you. Great to be with you this evening, and thank those individuals, the local paper, chamber, hospital, radio stations that helped put this on. I think it's a great opportunity for the local folks to be able to hear in person, each of us present our ideas, our concerns, our solutions to some of the issues of the day. A quick background on myself. I live in St. Elizabeth, Missouri, a small town south of Jefferson City, about 2 houses up where I was born and raised. I raised a lot of hogs and cattle growing up. I got into the financial services industry after college. Was a banking business and insurance business for about 35 years. I was state rep for 3 terms. I was the director of tourism in the state of Missouri for a couple of years, marketing the state. And in 2008, I ran for Congress, and we are now finishing our 3rd term. It's been an honor to serve. Some of the issues that we worked on here in Callaway County. We helped the local city with their problem with the EPA and trying to basically bankrupt the city with new rules and regulations on their sewer system. We were able to get the Winston Churchill Memorial designated as the National Churchill Memorial. We also were able to work with the county government and help them with the Voss Creek out here. They had a problem, and I personally went to the creek, along with requesting the Army Corps of Engineers to meet me there, and with the commission, we were able to come to a resolution of that situation. And we're also working very closely with Ameren UE and Westinghouse on their small modular nuclear reactor program. It's something that we hope that we can come to fruition on, and we're working with them very closely to get the permitting funds to make it work. We're not there yet, but we're going to continue to do that. It's certainly an honor to be here this evening. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. And something I failed to mention during the opening and explanation of the format, this is our timekeeper, and you saw the little flashcards that will be letting you know when it's time to begin to wrap it up. Representative Luetkemeyer. What's the bigger issue, gun control or mental health, and how do you plan to address that?
Well, I think mental health is the bigger issue from the standpoint that I think there are many of our citizens that have some problems. It's underfunded, understaffed from the standpoint of medical professionals being able to care for those individuals. One of the things that I've done is when we used to have the Veterans Hospital in Columbia in our district. With the redistricting, we lost that. But when we came into office, one of the things that we got involved with was the mental health aspect of taking care of our veterans. I have a brother-in-law who has PTSD, and to me it's a very large issue. A lot of our veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan have got problems. We have a lot of veterans who, like my brother-in-law is a veteran of Vietnam. We have a problem, and so we've worked with the fort to try and work with the VA to try and address that, and we were very successful in doing so. One of the things with the various gun tragedies around the country, there's a lot of concern about the mental problems of a lot of the shootings that go on, and as a result, there's a gentleman who represents the district in Pennsylvania. He's a clinical psychologist, which means he's a psychiatrist, basically, and he's worked a lot on this, and he has a bill put together that I'm very supportive of to try and begin the process to address this, as well as try and find funds to do this. So we're excited about working with him on that issue and very supportive to try and find some solutions.
How can we improve the income inequality and improve the middle class?
Well, I think income inequality is a direct reflection of the lack of economy that we have, a growing economy that we don't have right now. I think one of my biggest concerns is the fact that while the economy and jobs is the number one issue, we continually are thwarted by the Senate there in Washington with regards to all the ideas that we have to try and solve those problems. We sent over 384 bills over to the Senate. They're just sitting there dormant. They're not doing anything. They're just gathering dust. And among those bills are things that do a lot of things with regards to taxes, with regulations, trade policy, things that can really improve the economic environment of our country to be able to improve the ability of our businesses to hire more people at better paying jobs. You know, Keystone Pipeline is a perfect example of a situation where we voted on it several times, passed in the House, gone to the Senate, and sitting there dying. It'll create roughly 15,000 immediate jobs, long-term jobs, and yet there is no reason for it not to be enacted, and as a result, we're not getting anywhere. So I personally have had a number of bills that we've got in the hopper as well to do this. I'm supportive of all of them. We actually had a bill that wrapped 40 different bills together that would help create a better job environment a couple weeks ago that just wrapped them up and hoped that if we send just the one bill to the Senate that wrapped all these things together, they would act on that, and they failed to do that. So another situation I'm working on very closely is Operation Choke Point, which is FDIC and Department of Justice who have decided that they, in order to get rid of money laundering folks, have decided to get rid of entire industries of people instead of just go after the bad guys. And in doing this, they're knocking out lots and lots of legitimate businesses, doing legitimate business, and therefore lots of jobs. So we're working hard on trying to find a solution for that. I've got a bill to defund them as well, an amendment to defund them, as well as a bill to give a safe harbor to the financial institutions. My wife used to do that all the time. Kind of do this to me, Brian.
We'll try not to do that.
You don't stop, there's electricity under the floor.
Okay. That could be a shocking, exciting moment there, couldn't it? Okay.
Would you please comment on the EPA in relation to how it could affect agriculture and Main Street America?
That's a great question, because this morning we had a roundtable at the Farm Bureau with regards to the waters of the U.S. and what EPA is doing to our farmers, our businesses, our citizens. The waters of the U.S. is an extremely important issue because they want to take the word navigable out of the Clean Water Act, which then would give them the authority to have jurisdiction over every single drop of water. Basically, when the cloud squeezes a drop of water out and hits the ground, they would have control of it. We had a hearing in the Small Business Committee about 2 months ago where we had the number 2 person EPA in our committee. And we asked him the question, he kept going on about, well, we really don't want to regulate all this, regulate all that. And we asked him the question, okay, what streams are you talking about here? I have a dry creek behind my house. There's a 3-inch rain comes up. That's the only time it'll run anytime during the course of the year. Do you get to regulate that? And his comment was that if it has a watermark on it, we can regulate it. Suddenly, you realize that they can regulate any ditch, any pond, anything, anywhere that has watermarks on it, and therefore, around here, obviously, that's very prevalent. The other thing that's very concerning is in the Clean Water Act, there's 2 words that are hydrologically connected. That's the two words. And basically what it means is that as long as this water drop that fell out of the sky is touching another water drop that's touching a drop that sits in a stream that sits in a river that goes to the lake, all of that is connected, therefore they would have jurisdiction over it. So even with his comments, they are not, they don't line up with what actually can happen. And if you take, and if you stop and think about what can happen here, the farmers are going to have permits to be able to put herbicides, pesticides on the ground. If you want to put herbicides, pesticides on your lawn, it would even go that far because you have a ditch in front of your house that runs water in it. This is how far-reaching this is, and it's very concerning, and we passed a bill right before we left to stop this in the House.
Thank you. And you now have 1 minute for a closing statement.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity to be here this evening, and I think that our founding fathers designed a very participatory process, and they intended for every citizen to be engaged and informed, and as long as they felt we were going to be okay as a country. I still believe in that. I believe in the people of this country. I believe in the citizens who are here this evening, who are taking advantage of this opportunity because it's their country. Someone once said that the greatness of our country is not found in the halls of Congress, it's found in the hearts and homes of our people. And that's where our strength lies, and that's who we are as a country. And so it's an honor to serve. I look forward to the opportunity to be with you again, and I certainly ask for your vote and support in November. Thank you.
We'll next move to the Callaway County Presiding Commission race. Gary Youngerman and Janet Brewer are the candidates, and I want to remind those that are listening that you're listening to the candidate forum on the Big 900 KFAL, brought to you by the Callaway Hospital. And earlier we decided that Gary Youngerman would go first, and Mr. Youngerman, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Youngerman. I'm your current presiding commissioner. 4 years now. It's been a pleasure to serve each and every one of you. I think it really has been a pleasure to do what I've done, because you don't fully understand what the definition of public servant is until you get in a job like this. So I want to thank you. Just to give you a little background, I grew up on the east side of the county, south of Williamsburg, a little town called Reedsville. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but grew up there as a kid on a farm, 300 acres that we farmed, and my dad rented several acres, so we row crop, raised hogs, cattle, chickens, the whole 9 yards. I still live in that area. Grew up, I live a mile away from where I grew up currently. Married a young lady from O'Kane, and that's where I went to school also, and we have 3 children and 3 grandchildren right now, and another one on the way. So I've been blessed in many ways. So I want to just let you know that. I feel like the county commission currently, we've done some really good things. We have went out and made some efforts to save dollars wherever we can, because over the last several years our revenue has been flat. We generally, it's the same numbers we're working with every year, even though the last year or so here businesses have started to grow and expand, and that's been a good thing. But we still have a ways to go to get this county going and create some more jobs. But that starts more than just bringing business in here. We've got some work to do, just having our workforce ready so that companies come in here and provide the jobs that we so dearly need. So thank you once again for coming, because I think it's important that we have these and you guys come out and take this time to see what we have to say. So thank you.
Hi. Please let me say thank you to those who have organized this forum tonight. It is difficult to reach out to each and every one of you. There's 44,000 plus citizens in Callaway County, so this opportunity is just fantastic for me. My name is Janet Brewer, and I'm the proud wife of Dale. I have 4 children and 2 stepchildren, and together we have 10 grandchildren. We attend the Lighthouse Church in Kingdom City, and we belong to many social and civic organizations. I have a degree in criminal justice with supports in sociology and communication. One of my previous employers was the attorney of the City of Columbia, where I investigated complaints of human rights violations, and I received training in mediation and arbitration. The reason why that I'm setting up to you in this manner of what my history has been, it's meant to you to say that I could do the job of presiding commissioner, but I am well prepared. I have many years of mediating complaints and relationships and years of working with many state and federal agencies from many different perspectives. I have volunteered for the Callaway County Special Services, local fire departments, the Hatton Community Fair, as well as an EMT. I have worked for the last several years as an advocate for people with developmental disabilities through the Division of Mental Health, and I am currently a mental health first aid instructor. My volunteering also includes the organization of CASA. CASA is a program in our circuit that supports children in the foster care program. I'm also a volunteer to the elderly and the disabled with the Medicare Part D program. I built strong relationships throughout our county, and I'm confident in my abilities to preside over our county with my unique perspective and trainings in education. I believe our government needs to be transparent and open to the public. We have a right to be informed and educated. We have a right to know where the meetings are held and what times, and the matters that are being discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. And the first question, and Janet, you
Yes.
will take the first question first. How will you prioritize the budget? What areas or departments do you feel will need the most financial support in coming years?
Regarding the budget should be one of the top priorities of the presiding commissioners and all the commissioners. Now, I don't say that that's number one. I believe that our health and safety of our citizens is number one. And therefore, my main subject would be law enforcement. The main concern in our health and safety is the law enforcement. In 2007, the voters were led down a path with a half a sales tax that promised that law enforcement would be made improved. From what I can see, this has not been done. I live in the very northwest corner of our county, while I have friends in the very south of our county. It takes approximately 45 minutes for a deputy to respond to our location in emergency. This is not acceptable, nor is this considered an improvement and good use of my half-cent sales tax. This is to remind you that this was a promise that was made to us. We have a flyer from 2007 that shows, and the voters voted for this. Our sheriff can only make his budget last and stretch for so long. Hire additional employees and deputies is a must. Let's contact our commissioners and ask for our money.
Move on.
Thank you.
The resolution.
And what procedures are to follow.
Yes.
All right, the answer to I will start off with my answer on the budget priorities. Number one, we're mandated by legislation that we have to do certain things. Our general revenue budget is about, our general revenue pot is about $7.5 to $7.8 million. Out of that, roughly half of that general revenue budget is in the law enforcement center with our jail and the sheriff's department. We currently have, 14 road deputies and 2 investigators. So we are putting about $3.5 million into that facility every year. That has been a topic of conversation. Public safety is high priority on my budget and all the commission's budget, and we're going to keep working on that. And we're working on some things that we're going to do for officer safety this year. So. Have I still got more time? Or?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, it's 10-second thing come up.
Confusion reigns.
Okay.
This was your rebuttal.
We are working on some things currently in the law enforcement center and have been for about the last year and testing some body cameras and different things, even before this Ferguson thing came up. So we are looking into officer safety and the public safety on doing that. But Dennis Crane is our elected sheriff. We give him a pot of money, and he uses that to his ability and what his needs are down there. So I think we're doing some good things. And we will continue to move forward in public safety because that is a high priority with the general public, and we're focused on that. So.
My rebuttal with that is, since the half-cent sales tax was in 2007, how much money in addition to that has been given to the Sheriff's Department between 2007 and 2014?
I can't answer that specifically. I can tell you that the half-cent sales tax generates about $1.5 to $1.7 million a year. And once again, the overall general revenue budget is about $7.5 to $7.8 million. And we, in the Sheriff's Department budget and the Law Enforcement Center, we put about $3.4 to $3.5 million a year in that budget. They take half of our general revenue budget in law enforcement.
That's it. All right. Next question. And Gary?
Go ahead.
How will you handle or propose to handle the transition of Callaway County going from a Class 1 to Class 2 county?
Well, the unique thing about that is that's a not by choice situation. Back in I think it was 2010, the legislature passed a bill that changed the formula on what keeps you a Class 1 county. Currently, with the new regulations, you have to have an assessed valuation of the county. Now, to stay at Class 1, it has to be $900 million. We are short of that. This county continues to grow every year, but we currently only have about a $790 million assessed valuation total. And $346 million of that sits down here in this one corner of the county because of the nuclear power plant. So we will be going back to a Class 2. By statute, we have to do that. There's not that many changes. We already are a medical examiner county, so we don't have to have a coroner. We as a county will get to keep more money, but there is going to be a revenue decrease for some of the cities because we are mandated to give some of the cities, the incorporated cities, some of the road tax as a Class 1 county. But as a Class 2 county, we're not mandated to do that, so we'll be able to keep some additional money to use on our roads, our 723 miles of county road. That's bad for the cities, but I guess good for the county. So hopefully we can still, as incorporated cities and counties, still work together and continue to make things happen.
My rebuttal was my frustration, I guess, for moving from a Class 1 county down to a Class 2 county. This was passed approximately 5 years ago, and yet our commissioners were blindsided by this, even though it occurred 5 years ago. If we had had a stronger relationship with our legislators, I believe that we had been able to exclude Callaway County from moving from a Class 1 to a Class 2 and making the changes that we've had. I could be wrong, but that's the way that it seems from the meetings that I attend. The meetings that I have also attended doesn't seem to address any other issues besides the surveyor and the prosecuting attorney. The voters of Callaway County voted to keep our prosecuting attorney full-time, which I believe was a great move. But other than that, the meetings that I've attended doesn't seem to address any other issues going from a Class 1 to a Class 2, except for with the other elected officials. It would just be my position that I think that we should have a stronger relationship, which is what I addressed in my introduction, with our legislators and with these other agencies, so that we are not blindsided and we don't also wait 5 years later to fully address this.
Rebuttal?
You have 1 minute.
Okay. Rebuttal on that is I spend probably a third of my time as your county commissioner, if not more, going over and testifying at the state capitol on issues that could affect county government, either by taking money from us or whatever that might be. We have known for 5 years that was a legislative decision, and it is very difficult and time-consuming to try to get a change made, especially for one county, because it only affected Callaway County. The only county that was affected was this county because of the way the rules were set up.
Thank you. Next question, and that will go to Janet. We'll start off with this question. What will or can you do to spur economic growth in the county?
To spur the growth? Well,
Economic growth.
Economic growth. Our commissioners have been working with the relationships, as Gary just addressed, with the legislators. I think that we have to have stronger relationships within our communities and the supporting agencies that are just. Together, we must devise a future plan and also the growth for our infrastructure. And until we can work together, this is just not going to be possible. I listened at the commissioners' meeting from a couple of weeks ago, whereas the commissioners were asked very directly, what are the goals of the commission? After much blank airtime and head shaking, a meek response was, I guess the budget. I guess, this is what I say to you, I guess. How can we be responsible for all of these multi-millions of dollars and say, I guess? So we need to have a goal, we need to have a plan regarding the growth of our county and our infrastructure and bringing jobs and benefits into our county.
Me? Ever since I came to office, another one of the things that we focus on is economic development. We have an economic development group here in the county that we have conversations with probably on a weekly basis. One of the things when I first came here that everybody focuses on bringing a business into Callaway County. One of the first things I said when I got here is, do we have the workforce that we could fill those potential jobs when they get here? I think what we have found over the 4 years I've been here is that's the case. Our workforce is not ready. So one of the things that I've been focused on over the last 8 to 10 months is working with the Department of Economic Development and putting together a work-ready community, which is a focus of the state, with some testing and the opportunities for growth in our employment. The people we have to put into these jobs. So that's what we're working on right now, is trying to educate and make sure that our workforce is ready for the demanding jobs that are out there to come, because that's what businesses are looking for. And I think we're headed in a good direction now, and working with the schools, the colleges, and even the career centers in Jeff City and Columbia.
My rebuttal. What I would say to that is, if we have a workforce that's ready, then why is the workforce not working? We need to have more people out there working. If we do not have the population in our county to put new jobs in our county, then we need to make it our job, our ability to bring in those also. We need housing. We need an infrastructure. We need place for these people to go to bring these people into our county. If that's what you're saying is that we need to have more employees. I believe we have a strong workforce already here. So we need to be responsible in bringing in new jobs.
Thank you. And the final question. What is your opinion of creating zoning regulations for construction or business in rural parts of the county? And how would you plan on achieving that? And
Is that me? Planning and zoning is a touchy situation, and there's some good things about it, but I'm a property rights guy. I grew up here a long time ago, and I believe in the opportunity that when you have property that you should have the opportunity to do with that as you wish. I think there needs to be some planning done. The thing that I think most people don't understand, and they do understand, but agriculture is basically exempt from planning and zoning, and we're a very rural community, as we all know. Agriculture is our number one resource in Callaway County, and to put some of that into place is going to be very, very difficult on the agricultural community. And I worked around that for a number of years in construction, and I can see how it can turn bad really quick, because keeping planning and zoning under control is a real trick on trying to control it. I'm not a proponent of it necessarily, unless you can figure out a way to really understand it and control it. So I think that it has its places. I just don't think Callaway County, with as rural as we are currently, is maybe ready for it. But it all comes down to what do the people want? I mean, because that's what we're here to do as commissioners, is to serve the people. And if they come to us and say that, it's time to put planning and zoning back on the ballot and for the vote of the people, then we're open to that, or I'm open to those discussions, because that's not a 3-member commission's decision to decide what we're going to do and create rules, because it's all about smaller government. We have enough on our plate with the minimal amounts of revenue that we have to try to make everything work, and that's the difficult part as a commissioner, when you can't borrow and you're there with X amount of dollars. So
there's really not much rebuttal regarding Gary in this issue because I firmly believe approximately 20 years ago, the Callaway County citizens spoke up and voted against planning and zoning. I believe that was more than a 75% majority of the vote. So therefore, at that particular time, 20 years ago, that was a decision of the voters. And I believe that that's a vote that needs to stay with the public. If it's an issue that gets investigated and the people and the majority of individuals wish for it to be on a ballot, then I have to fully support that. My husband was born and raised on a farm. My father was a farmer and all of his family. So we're used to the agricultural part of it and the rural community. I believe that if this is an issue that you want, then it is our responsibility then to uphold what your choices are. I just think that we also need to be respectful of others. We need to make sure that we are not polluting our waterways and that we are not damaging other people's property and the value from other people's property, that our structures are not built unsafe, and that we do have some provisions. I don't know what those provisions are. I think that's something that the commission and also perhaps they could place a board in place that can look into. Maybe this is something that can be looked into from a different avenue.
Okay. I think we'll forego the rebuttal on this. I don't think there needs to be any.
There really isn't a rebuttal.
Thank you for that. And we will begin with a 1-minute closing statement for each candidate. And Janet, you go first.
Thank you. I believe, first of all, that our campaign dollars that we are raised should stay in our county. I believe that we should be strong, that the money that you have entrusted in us that we should be using in our county. One of the problems that I have is that I place my information on the Missouri Ethics Commission website, so that if you have any questions about your campaign dollars, then that's where that information is. I feel like I'm concerned with the when I went to the clerk's office and received copies of my opponent's campaign dollars from the last campaign, that all of the dollars were spent outside of our county with the exception of Fulton Sun. And I believe that if we're going to be a commissioner, we're going to represent our county, then it's our responsibility to keep your campaign dollars and all of our dollars within our county.
Just a rebuttal on that real quick. All of my money was spent in Callaway County, from my knowledge back then, except for my signs, which I talked to several sign companies in the county because of my mass quantity that I wanted. I had 2 different sign companies tell me that you could get them cheaper, just do that because I can't help you. And they was looking at saving me money in my campaign, which they both supported me. So that's my rebuttal there. I think I want to go back real quick to what she said a while ago. My comment wasn't about that we don't have enough people in the county. My comment earlier about economic development was I want to focus on education and make sure that our current 44,000 people that we have, and we're going to need more if we have plenty of business, but that they are ready to go to work, because what we're finding in talking to businesses here locally in Callaway County, that it's a struggle to find good qualified candidates for their jobs. So that's what I meant earlier on that. So thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to come, and I appreciate you all being here this evening. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
both
I should be allowed a rebuttal?
No, he used that for his 1 minute. He only got the minute, so he didn't get anything extra.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, want to remind everyone we are live at City Hall in the council chambers of the Fulton City Hall for the candidate forum sponsored by the Fulton Sun and KFAL and also Callaway Hospital. It is being broadcast live on the Big 900 KFAL. And the next part of our forum will be House District 43 State Representative, that race. We only have one candidate in attendance, that being Ed Lockwood. And Mr. Lockwood, you will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then we'll ask 3 questions, which you have 2 minutes for each question, and then a 1-minute closing statement. So you can begin with your opening statement.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I'm probably not a true politician because I'm not real long-winded, so it may not take the 2 minutes on all of them. My name is Ed Lockwood. District 43 is all of Audrain County, and then Millersburg to the Fulton area, making a loop around Fulton and out, and then roughly following Avaz Creek down to the Missouri River. So geographically, a pretty good sized area, just doesn't include the population areas. I was the first in my family to get a college education. My parents worked 2 and 3 jobs, and they really worked hard. And I appreciated that, and hopefully made them proud and took advantage of that. And I have a young daughter in the back here who is going to be the second of my family to get a college education. So it's really important to me. I think the central key issue here has got to be the economy and jobs. We've got people graduating college who need to find employment. We all know the 50-something plus neighbor down the street who has lost his job in the recession. And those jobs, a lot of them haven't came back. And so we need to really work on getting the employment for those people. One of the observations that I have made, and the candidates here have made some good comments, but the observation I've made is there's really no one person to kind of pull the whole economic district together. Gary goes down and talks to the legislator, but do they really hear? We need somebody from here who is willing to pull it together and get us all moving in the same direction, and I would like to be that person.
First question. How would you vote on Amendment 3, the teacher performance evaluations that would influence salary, retention, and firing, and why?
That's a hot button issue in my household. My wife's a teacher, and then I'm at the college level. It takes away local control. That's what we're all about. We want local control of our education system. And Amendment 3 will take that away and put it in the hands of folks in Jefferson City. Plus, there's so much cost involved. All these tests that are mandated. Somebody's got to pay for them. And it's going to come out of tax dollars, out of the state budget. The local schools do not have the money to fund it, and they wouldn't have the overall information that goes into that. So I'm definitely against Amendment 3.
What is your position on hog farms or the CAFOs coming to the county, and how would you propose dealing with that, or any possible health or environmental effects?
That's another hot button issue, isn't it? CAFOs are a necessary evil. We've got billions of people in the world, and they all need to eat. So they would be starving without the factory farms. With that said, factory farms are not local farm families for the most part. They're big business. And they should be treated differently than family farm. I was born and raised on a family farm. I have a family farm. And when you have 6, 8 cows, you don't have that big impact. But when you're taking 10, 15,000 animals and putting them in a concentrated area, it has an impact. And I think that you need to have some sort of mechanism to regulate that. The DNA needs to have some power to be able to go in there, look at the situation. Is it going to impact the local creeks? What are they going to do with the waste? 20 acres out here, what are you going to do with it? All the waste that's going to be generated with 10,000 hogs. You've got to have a way to deal with it, and you've got to plan for it. As a biology teacher, I come back to the population, the world population. We live on a limited biosphere, and we got to take care of it. And so we have to deal with that. Local people should have some local say. And I think that there again is going to come back to the commission, whether they want to try and regulate this and deal with it. But it is a situation that needs dealt with. So.
Thank you. And your final question, are you in support of increasing the gasoline tax to fund I-70 or other highway improvements throughout the state? And if not, how do you propose to maintain the highways or fund expansion and improvements?
In Missouri, we have one of the lowest gasoline taxes in the nation. In a previous job, I took care of the trucking. You know, we have trucks that drive through Missouri and never spend a dime, but they're destroying our roads. You know, you get these 80,000-pound trucks, it's tough. So I think there does need to be maybe a combination, some sort of program where the truckers who drive through have some responsibility on helping us upkeep our roads. And I do think the gasoline tax, a lot of that should come from the federal level and trying to improve that situation because they collect a lot of that. But I think, especially on diesel, we do need higher than 17 cents a gallon.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Lockwood, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you. I do appreciate being here. And if elected, I do intend to work with the commission, the local folks. Want to try and pull everybody together. I have the idea of having what I call representatives roundtable. You know, we have various agencies. We have the local commission. We have local business owners, trying to get all those people together, and let's get us all moving in the same direction. So our economic district, which in my mind is Audrain and Callaway County, we're all moving in the same district. We need to get the schools funded. You know, we have an issue, well, we have workers, but they're not trained. Well, businesses want workers who are skilled in the STEM, science, technology, and engineering and math. That's what they need. And we need to get those schools geared up to be able to produce those skills that are needed.
Thank you. Our next candidates as part of the forum will be those running for House District 49 as state representative, Grace Shabacker and Travis Fitzwater. And Mr. Fitzwater, there we go. You will go first for your 2-minute opening statement.
Good evening. I'm Travis Fitzwater. My wife, Amy, and I have been married for 7 years and live in Holt Summit with our 2 little girls, Sadie and Eliza. I've worked for a nonprofit in mid-Missouri for 8 years and have run my own business specializing in marketing for 5 years. I decided to run for state representative because as a father with young children, I want them to have a great future, one that provides them with every opportunity to succeed via hard work and a quality education. Right now, I think there will be too many obstacles in their way. Obstacles that didn't exist for previous generations, and obstacles that certainly didn't exist when my father began his career. We must change the way things are going. We must improve the way our government works so that they are truly acting for our benefit and not for their own. As I've gone door to door, people have expressed to me over and over again their concern with our economy and the direction of our country and the state is currently heading in. I pledge to be a state representative that listens to the problems and concerns of the citizens of this district. I pledge to work to improve government to better meet their needs. As your state representative, I will work to support an education system that prepares our children for the global workforce. Whether our children choose to go to college or technical school or enter the workforce, our schools need to have them properly educated for that next step in their life. Having a quality education is the foundation for economic development, but to encourage job creation, we must take the steps to encourage investment in our communities. Small businessmen and women are burdened with unnecessary regulations, loads of red tape, and high taxes that discourage them from creating more jobs, expanding their facilities, or investing in local projects. For our community to prosper, we need to reduce these burdens, which in turn encourages these local businesses to expand and for new companies to move to our area. I want to say thank you to the Fulton Sun, KFAL, and the Fulton Chamber for inviting me tonight, and Steve for moderating the event. I'm excited to be here and discuss the issues that are important to our district and state.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting the event, the forum tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I want to outline why I'm running for state representative and what I want to accomplish when elected. I, along with hundreds of people with whom I visited, am tired of the dysfunction of our state government, the distrust between people who should be working together for all of us, the polarizing issues that cloud our democracy, the disgraceful absence of ethics that results in our capital being for sale, and the lack of attention paid to the economic issues facing our working men and women every day. Our state can and must do better, and I believe it's time we get back to the real issues that make a state great and its citizens productive. You know, no one issue stands on its own. That's why we must have a real vision for and a connection to the future. Industry comes to a state that has a trained workforce, a safe and modern transportation system for the delivery of goods, and quality health care. Good jobs are a winning formula. Income for our citizens resulting in increased business for our local economies. So we have jobs, we have education, we have transportation, and health care. Connected together result in increased incomes and thriving local businesses. And as the saying goes, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. I think it's now time that Missouri's elected officials make decisions based on facts, not opinions. I want to stop political party control and outrageous sums of money being used to make decisions about your future and your well-being. We worked together before, and it's time to work together again. It is possible. As I was honored to do for 18 years, I will work for you in this district, not for a political party, not for moneyed special interest, not for the highest contributor, and not for political or personal gain. Thank you.
The first question, and Gracia, you will start off with this first question. Missouri state workers are the lowest paid state employees in the United States. What do you plan to do to change this, and what is your position about right to work?
Two questions.
Two questions in one. Taking a chance. But
I'm absolutely, totally, completely opposed to right to work. Every state that has a right to work law has suffered greatly. Low incomes, health care disappears, even the point of infant mortality increases. Educational services are diminished. That's a proven fact. That's not just something that I'm saying. This is not about unions itself. This is about the working men and women who are trained, who know what they are doing, and who do dangerous jobs daily. Right to work is not good for Missouri. The other issue was state workers.
State workers.
Yes. I've been a state worker all my life, and I'm very proud of that. I don't hold my head down when I say I'm a state worker, except for the fact that we are 50th in the nation in pay, 50th in the nation. It's time that we recognize the worth of our state employees. We understand the retirement benefits that are necessary. We understand helping with their insurance. And it's time that we put that on the forefront. When we can give $1 billion plus tax break to bring Boeing in here, and we found, the legislators found $1 billion to bring Boeing in, surely they can find $150 million to give our state employees a pay raise.
Travis.
Well, the first one, or the second question, is a two-part question, obviously. Right to work. I think one thing that's very, very clear, and it's very important to understand, is that unions have been so crucial to our district. I mean, if it wasn't for unions, there wouldn't be the Callaway Electric Center. If it wasn't for unions, there wouldn't be this great training in our community that provides wonderful, wonderful training for secondary education for kids coming out of high school, and really at any level. So they should be commended for that. And we're here running in this district. I'm running in this district to represent the people. So on that issue of right to work, I've heard on both sides, support and against. And so what I will do as a state representative is I will represent this district on that issue. So when it comes up, if it comes up, as a state representative, I will represent my district. As far as state workers, I agree with Gracia. I think state workers, they're not paid well enough. 50th out of 50 is not good enough. And so we need to ensure that state workers are getting paid, they're getting competitive benefits, And to keep good employees around, you really have to pay them well. If you want good employees to stay at your job, and I've hired and I've done the employment stuff in my own job. If you want to keep good workers at your facilities, you got to pay them. And so I certainly agree that state workers need to be treated better in our state. And I think we can get rid of a lot of government waste to help take care of that.
We'll move on to second question. Did you have any rebuttal, Rachel? Second question, and Travis, you will go first with the second question. What would you do, if anything, to improve worker safety at the Fulton State Hospital in terms of legislation or state policy?
Sure. Well, one thing that's exciting is that it's finally getting rebuilt. Thank Jeannie and Ed and some of the folks that are in the legislature that have ensured that the Fulton State Hospital is getting funded and it's getting rebuilt. That's one crucial piece to state employees and workers at the Fulton State Hospital. Their safety depends on that new facility getting built. And so I think one thing as a state representative is you got to hold them accountable, make sure the costs aren't going crazy, and ensure that the project is going as planned and that the money is being used wisely to build that facility. So that's exciting. Secondly, we have to protect employees at that facility. It's one of the most dangerous places to work in Missouri. And so therefore, we have to make sure that those employees are thought for and protected while they're working. And so I will work as a state representative to ensure that policies are in place at the Fulton State Hospital to protect employees in that environment.
Well, of course, the updated facility will greatly improve safety for both staff and clients, but facilities alone aren't going to solve all the safety problems. High acuity patients, clients, are those that require one-on-one and sometimes two-on-one staffing for monitoring purposes. And they require higher staffing numbers than presently are available. Staff are taken off of one place to go over and do a one-on-one monitoring. Because this type of procedure keeps the client out of seclusion and restraints. We see fewer staff members are subject to direct contact that sometimes can result in injuries. So simply stated, through all of that, additional staff members would certainly improve the safety. Second, the Office of Administration should immediately change its decision to refuse the Fulton YMCA to co-locate in these new facilities. The present agreement with the Y right now allows our staff to join at a great discount, and it's open 24 hours a day. And we know that not only is a physically fit staff less prone to injury, the opportunity to use the fitness equipment certainly increases mental alertness. This is a no-cost solution that is just common sense. Of course, training is very important, and I know that training is developed by all levels of the staff, and I think that's so important, and that the nurses and the aides all work together. And it's my understanding that training has not been a real issue with staff. They are satisfied with it, but it's very important that we continue to do this and keep it as a priority to avoid injury. Thank you.
Well, again, I'll just repeat, it's exciting that the Fulton State Hospital is getting rebuilt. It's something that's a long time coming, and we have to protect those workers who are in that facility, and I will do everything I can to make sure that those staffers in that facility are protected against what may come.
Thank you. And third question, Gracia?
Yes.
You will start with this question. How do you plan to vote, or what is your position on Amendment 3, the teacher performance evaluations that would influence salary retention and firing, and why?
Well, Amendment 3, in plain language, is not sponsored by the General Assembly, but by Rex Singfield, a multimillionaire from St. Louis. This particular issue shifts control away from parents and teachers and administration and boards. It requires that districts implement a state-approved evaluation system based on student scores that will be used as a primary basis for hiring, firing, and paying teachers. You know, it doesn't matter if that child being tested was beaten the night before or didn't have food at home for breakfast to come the next morning to school. or simply doesn't test well. In this amendment, it's only the test scores that matter, not the children. In this amendment, the teachers are the villains instead of our heroes, and our children are being used as pawns. You know, the ballot issue includes 4 tenets and 6 new sections added to our Constitution, not in our legislative part of our body, but in the Constitution. This amendment is being financed by a multimillionaire who wants to destroy our public school system, and that must be known. That must be talked about. He'd rather spend $2.5 billion on a blimp tethered, have you seen that, tethered in Jeff City at the airport, and buy legislators to cut $500 million in his tax breaks than adequately fund education. Most concerning is the fact that this language is contained in a constitutional amendment. Needless to say, I'm going to vote no on Amendment 3.
Well, I have major problems with Amendment 3 as well. I think for a number of reasons, not the least of which is local control and ensuring that students get individualized education. I think when I go door to door and I meet with teachers and I meet with parents, and when I talk with them, the biggest concern is that they want these teachers who are our experts in our education system want to teach each student individually because every student's different. And this makes it hard because the standards make the teachers teach to a test. And they take away local control from the local community from being able to set the standards and the curriculum in our schools. And we just can't have federal or state bureaucrats running our curriculums. And so I am also a no on this amendment, Amendment 3, and I would recommend that each of you vote no on this amendment because I think it takes control out of our hands and gives it to bureaucrats instead of our teachers, our administrators, and our parents. And that is crucial for our local education.
Thank you. We'll move on to next no rebuttal. Final question. What is your philosophy to grow business in the state?
That's a very good question. And when I knock doors, and we've hit so many doors in this district, we've worked very, very hard over the last couple of months. Everybody is concerned with the economy. Everybody I talk to is worried. There's not a door I hit where they're not concerned about how to pay their mortgage, how to pay for insurance, how to pay for their cars, for food. It's very, very, very disheartening to hear so many people that are worried about the economy and their jobs. I think there's a number of ways in our community to work on economic growth. One is to encourage the expansion of energy in our community, which is such an asset to who we are as the 49th district. I think not only with the Callaway Energy Center, but the co-op, we have a real opportunity to make a real difference in our economy by helping with infrastructure and ensuring there's an environment that these companies will want to expand energy opportunities in our area. The second is encourage entrepreneurship. I think the best way is not to bring businesses in, but to build businesses from here. Folks that have lived here and grown up here that are willing to start businesses and take risks that are crucial to growing jobs in our local community. And one thing I'm really excited about is the Show Me Innovation Center right here in Fulton, where they're developing ways to encourage entrepreneurship and invest in young, small businesses that are really going to help create the jobs of the future here in our area. And then the third thing, very practically, is I've had the opportunity to meet with a gentleman from St. Louis named Jim McKelvey, who started a large business, multiple large businesses. And he started a high-tech training program partnering with Harvard and to allow people to learn how to do these high-tech jobs. He wants to bring it to Fulton and partner with us. And so we want to bring in some opportunities for people to learn how to use these high-tech opportunities to get good-paying jobs. And that's what we're going to work on, is bringing jobs to Fulton and Callaway County in the 49th district.
Great job.
Jobs and industries come to a state that has an educated and trained workforce, a safe and modern transportation system for the delivery of goods, and a quality healthcare service. They want a high quality of life for their business and for their employees. For the 18 years I was in the General Assembly, that's what we always heard. It wasn't about massive tax breaks and giveaways. And you know, a low tax burden for business owners in Missouri certainly adds to the attraction to locate here. A study released by the Anderson Economic Group in July this year showed that Missouri had the 8th lowest business tax burden in the country in 2012. Let me say that again. The 8th lowest business tax burden in the country in 2012, with all neighboring states being higher. Just this week, I'm sure many of you read, Boeing announced bringing in more than 700 to their present plant. Ford and General Motors have now added extra shifts, resulting in about 2,000 more jobs. Our economy is growing, and we're very proud of that. The 3 priorities for attracting or expanding jobs: we must invest in our schools so we have an educated, trained workforce. We talked about that earlier. We must repair and build our transportation infrastructure. That's a must, so people can get their goods and services in and out of here. And expand Medicaid. That has not been discussed at all tonight. Medicaid expansion alone is projected to increase the number of Missouri jobs by 24,000 in the first year. 24,000 jobs. That's a big priority.
Thank you. If no rebuttal, then we will continue with each of the candidates' closing statement. And Gracia?
Yeah. I thought it was 2 minutes, so I'll rush.
Okay.
You haven't started yet now, have you? Right.
No.
I apologize for that. Governing is complicated. There's no doubt about it. It requires listening to the people, believing the facts, and working together to come up with reasonable solutions. And we must work together toward that end. You know, I could sit here tonight and give you slick phrases and simple solutions, but that's not me. My life has been dedicated to public service, and as I said before, I'm very proud of that. That's the real world experience I bring to the state legislature. I know what it's like to see a person's loved one suffering from mental illness and there's no help available. I know what it's like to have to cut valuable teaching positions in order to meet the school's small budget. I know what it's like to see hungry school children so excited when they receive a buddy pack to get to take home. These are experiences that count. In closing, let me share something personal with you. May I share something personal with you? Will you give me 2 more seconds? Thank you. One of the kindest things once said to me was this: Gracia, you don't know me, but someone said you could help. And that's what it's all about. I will help and I will listen. Thank you for your consideration and your vote on November 4th.
Thank you again, everyone, for being here and allowing me to come speak with you. I would like to close by saying now is not the time for us to look back. It's a time for us to look forward. I want to fight for the future of our district. I understand the challenges that families face, and I promise to fight for more jobs, family-sustaining paychecks, and an economy in which each family has the opportunity to succeed and prosper. I sincerely appreciate your time being here and really enjoyed interacting with you on the issues that are important to our local area. And I would appreciate your vote in November on the 4th and to serve as your next state representative.
Thank you.